What up, guys? Welcome to Music Blueprint. Again, my name is Gina Fontanella. I have no idea what episode we're on. I think it might be 11 or 12. I have no idea. You lose count after a while. But we're going to talk about something really important in being a musician, and that is your finances. And I know this topic can be touchy and also boring at the same time. So I'm going to try to keep it really short and sweet. I don't want to overload you with too many things, but it is so very important to get your finances in order and not just live by the seat of your pants because you think this is going to last forever, which it doesn't. So, first I'd like to say is most musicians, and when I say musicians, I'm talking about artists and touring artists. The game is a little bit different for teachers and songwriters. You definitely can go a lot longer just because it's not as taxing. But for my fellow touring musicians, when you hit the point of really coming into your stride as a musician, like I'm making a lot of money, or I'm making the most money I've made in a long time, and you're hitting that pinnacle point, that point typically lasts about 10 years. From the research that I've done and the different artists that I've looked into, that point lasts about 10 years. And I think this also coincides with songwriters. When songwriters they're getting cut after cut and everybody's, for lack of a better word, on their junk about every song that they write, it lasts about 10 years. Now, I'm not saying after those 10 years, you don't still make money. I'm saying when you're at the peak time, when you're making the most money, it lasts about 10 years. It's a little bit different than normal corporate world, where you make your money over a period of 30 years, right? And you kind of level up one by one or whatever. The way that I've found, and again, this is not, there's exceptions to the rule, but also, I don't know everything. But what I have found is you basically take about 10 years in the first stage, 10 years to get to your stride. Then when you get to your stride, you have about another 10 years, barring nothing crazy happens. I mean, you don't go into rehab or, none of those crazy things. You have about 10 years to work on your craft, build your connections, and then boom, you have another 10 years where you're like at the top of the game. And some examples of that, would be, and sometimes a little different with, bands, but NSYNC. 95 was the date that in 95 they released their first album. 2002 was their last album, so that last album lasted about another 2 years. That's 9 years. Same with Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child was 97, and their last album was 2004, so another 2 years. That's 9 to 10 years. Shania Twain was the same. She was, again, like NSYNC, 95 to 02. Last album was released in 2002. She toured that album for 2 or 3 years. Boom, she had 10 years. Now, is that to say that none of those artists are still making money today? Absolutely not. They're still making a ton of money. I mean, Shania Twain came out and did a TV show. Obviously, Beyonce has gone to do huge things. That didn't really stop her. And same with Justin Timberlake. But look at the rest of the band. One of them became like an E-host, Entertainment Tonight host. Some of them have done Dancing with the Stars. But were they really in full swing of what they were doing during that period of time? No. They made the most of their money within those 10 years. That's when, shoot, I can't remember the Shania Twain song. Oh, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. That came out 96, 97, I think. So all of those huge songs came out during those periods of time. Same with Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac was, I think, like 75 to like 87. So again, you're still looking in that 10-year mark. So then that beckons the question on what are you doing during those 10 years? Are you just living your best life and yeah, I'm going to pay for this really expensive house. Yeah, I'm going to buy this car that I've always wanted. Yeah, I'm going to do this and that. Or are you thinking in your head, okay, I have 10 years to last me the rest of my life? Because that's a different mindset. If you know that in these 10 years, you're going to make the most money that you can ever make, well, the money that you make in those 10 years has to last you until you die, basically. You got to figure out your retirement. You got to figure out, and I know this is like a damper. This is such a damper on what we love to do as musicians. We love the art. We love to just travel the world and have all these experiences and everything. And I know this is like, God, you're being such a fun sucker right now. And I know that. But the goal is that I want you to live your life like that until you die. And how do you do that? And the way that you do that is you have to have the understanding of, when I'm making this much money, I need to put a lot of it away. A lot of it, and I'm not talking about for a rainy day or, you know, when you want to get married. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're freaking 40 and nobody wants to hear your weird album about your children because that doesn't resonate with them anymore. And you're not making $2-3 million a year, or even $100,000 a year, $75,000 a year, whatever. You're not making that money anymore. And now you're getting close to the age where your body's kind of tired of touring. You're kind of tired of the game of the industry. And you're ready to just be like, all right, I'm cool, I'm ready to retire. But now you can't because you didn't put anything away. It's something that you have to think about. So, that being said, one of the best books that I've read recently just about finances is this book. Tony Robbins, Master of the Game. I actually just read it recently and it was so, so great. And it's a perfect book to, if you're in the beginning and you were like, I don't even know where to start. I know nothing on nothing. This is the book to read. It walks you through the things to avoid. For instance, like mutual funds, annuities, what are the no-nos in those areas? Should you get involved in stocks? What does that look like? What does it look like over the period of time of like the last 100 years? What portfolio should you put together if you just want to put it together and just not think about it and just once a year rebalance it and whatever? This is the book. It's long. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's long. And he rambles a lot. You're like, dude, I'm already with you. Move to the next point. But the content in it is gold. And I can't stress enough how important it is to really get your finances in order. And I really have just recently gotten more into, I've been really smart about savings and putting things away, and having a retirement. But I didn't really get into like the stock game and all these different things and how to balance that out. And that's really, really important for retirement. And it's really, really important for somebody who's self-employed that doesn't get a retirement because of the job they worked. You're not a teacher. You're not a firefighter. You're not in corporate world where they give you a 401k. You're not in any of those. Or maybe you are, but maybe you're finally transitioning into being a full-time musician. Who knows? You're your own boss. You're your own company. And you have to figure out how are you going to, after you retire, still have an income. And this is the way to start. I would first read this book. Again, I'm trying to keep this short because I don't want to, it's just a lot of information and I hate being a fun sucker. So I don't really want to dive too deep into it. Once our program gets released, we'll dive into like what credit cards are great for musicians to own and really capitalize on travel points and all of that stuff. We get into all of that if you want to be a part of the program that's going to be released soon. But just on a pure surface level, I would definitely read this book. It's really just opened my eyes to a lot of different things and a lot of different opportunities. And I think what happens with us as musicians is we're so live in the moment kind of people. Oh, this great thing happens. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. Oh, I get to go to Italy, or oh, I just toured in Asia. It was so cool. And, all these things. And then 10 years goes by so fast because we've just been going a million miles a minute. And then we're like, oh, shoot, I have not put anything away for my future. And it's very, very important to do that. And it's important to start it before you get to your full stride. It's important to start the discipline of putting 10% away, 20% away, 30% away. And honestly, if you're doing your taxes, a lot of you people on podcasts that are just listening to me, I made a face. If you're doing your taxes, you should be putting 15 to 30% away. Because again, taxes aren't typically taken out for musicians, but that's a whole other conversation. So you should, in theory, have the discipline of that already. So then another 10% shouldn't be that much of a dig. But if it is, there are principles in this book that can help you get to the point. If you're like, man, I can only do 5% right now. Okay, cool. Just do 5% and then build into 10%. But the fact of the matter is if you don't start it when you have barely any money, you're never going to do it when you have a lot of money. That's just how it goes. Or if you do, man, you're like a dime a dozen, because most of the time, if it's something that I haven't practiced, it's like when you see people get famous and they're mean. It's because when they were starting out, they really weren't that nice to begin with. And then money just magnified the issues that they already had. It's the same thing with saving and putting stuff away from retirement. If you didn't have the discipline when you had basically nothing, if you were only making $17,000 and you were spending all that $17,000, you could have been putting $1,700 away every year that you made $17,000, and that will compound into something a lot larger than what you're thinking. So, anyways, again, I can go down the rabbit trail of that. But it's so, so important to be very, very disciplined about your finances. Another thing that I would suggest, heavily suggest, which I believe that I've done in previous podcasts, is get an Excel sheet together, log everything. And again, you need this for your taxes, but you also just need this for your life, because you're your business. You have to have the mindset of, I am my business. I have to keep my books in order. And that means every time you sell a CD, you need to know if you've sold a CD or not. And marking down, what did you sell it for? How many CDs you sold that night? Did somebody buy a t-shirt? Okay, how many t-shirts were bought that night? Did I make any tips? Put how much tips did I make? And then after the year, then you can see, oh, okay, I'm actually making money. This isn't just like me driving around and I'm like, oh man, I just feel so strapped for cash. And you're like, why do you feel strapped for cash? You're making $50,000 a year. Or why do you feel strapped for cash when you're making $250K or $1 million or whatever? And then you can start realizing, okay, well, where is the hole? Okay, well, the hole is I'm freaking eating sushi every night while I'm on the road. So if I pull back on that, I actually will have a lot more money to go home. It's just a lot of different things. And honestly, an Excel sheet just brings awareness to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I know a lot of us like to live in the dark and just bury our heads in the sand and like, oh, it'll be fine. And yeah, I'll save money. I'll just put $100 away a year or whatever. But when you put everything in a formatted form, to say the least, you really then can tackle the problems that are at hand, and you can tackle, why am I spending $50 a night on drinks. Half of my income from me playing a show is going to my alcohol habit. Like, how can I cut that down? Can I get the bar to give me 2 free drinks a night? Okay, yeah, that'll last me throughout the night. You know what I mean? Like, you start realizing where the issues are, and again, you can start tackling them and really get them down so you can really start making money. That is the point. You can really start making money with your art, and you can do this for as long as you want. Or it also gives you the opportunity that when you've decided I'm done, you've now put a nest egg away to where you can say, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, and you'll be fine. It's about security, it's about safety. You don't want to feel constantly that this pressure of, I'm not going to make it. I don't know where my next bill is. That's so much stress. So much unnecessary stress. So read the book, get an Excel sheet together. I didn't even go deep into Excel. I know like people get crazy with Excel and they can do all these formulas and da 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 and all this stuff. But for me, I just laid it out in a simple format and I just had it charted in a way that made sense to me. Again, if you guys are wanting to be a part of the Music Blueprint course, which again hasn't released yet, it's going to release soon. We're really, really close. But when you do become a part of the program, we'll give you a template and you can just type everything in, and actually some of the templates have the formula already built in for you. So you don't have to go through all of the mumbo jumbo. But if you don't want to be a part of that program, just organize the Excel sheet that makes sense. Don't be crazy. Like, just have date, price, just basic things so you can track where the money is going, where the deficit is, where's the positive. Have a separate sheet for your profits, and just keep it organized, because again, personally, I want you to be able to do this for as long as you want to do it, but also I want you to be able to, when you're done and you're ready to hang up your guitar or hang up your microphone, you can do that and still live an awesome life. So I hope I kept it short and sweet enough. I hope I didn't become too preachy. I just know too many of my fellow musicians that are not do not have their finances at the front of their mind, and they think this is going to last forever, and it doesn't. It really, again, start looking up some of your favorite musicians. The height of their career usually lasts about 10 years, and lucky if it lasts 10 years. A lot of people, it's more like 5 years. I mean, I'm talking about the big gamers last like 10 years. So again, look into it. Don't just take my word for it, but I promise you, if you don't bury your head in the sand about your finances, you can do this for as long as you want. And again, when you decide to hang it up, you can still have a great life. So apply those things. Maybe get this book, or just do some research online about different things that you should be doing for your finances. If you come across something that you're interested in or think that it's a great idea, please comment below. I'm always looking for more and new and fresh information that I've never heard of. I'm always constantly trying to learn. So this is like a two-way street. So please comment anything you find below that you find interesting, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.